You've heard the word by now, surely. The hyperbolic proclamations that the game is ruined or dead because aircraft carriers exist within it. Hello, I am Xarkun, and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, I present to you a match in the premium Tier 5 German destroyer T-61, arguably one of the strongest destroyers at this tier. And this is a game in which we're going to have a lot of success. It's not going to be a super high damage game, but it is going to be a highly effective destroyer game on my part and on the part of the friendly destroyer, who also happens to be a T-61. You'll note, however, that aircraft carriers are present in this game. The one on the enemy team is the Tier 5 American aircraft carrier, Ranger. And he is going to finish second on the leaderboard for his team, which I believe should establish that he is in no way a potato. And that is key here, because people around the community are, as I said, coming up with these hyperbolic proclamations that the game is ruined because of aircraft carriers. And of course, if you followed my content, then you'll know I think aircraft carriers are a problem for many reasons that I've outlined in previous videos, so I'm not going to rehash any of it here. The point of this video is that destroyers, which ostensibly are the class that are affected most by the presence of CVs, are unplayable or no longer viable because aircraft carriers exist. This is not true, in my opinion at least, and you could say at the end of this game, well, this is a cherry-picked result. It's not indicative of the results of, other players playing destroyers, and fair enough. You might run into a game where there's a really, really good aircraft carrier who wants to focus you down and keep you permanently spotted. And in this case, the aircraft carrier player doesn't really do that per se, at least not to me. He might try to do it to my teammate, who, as you can see, is inside of the Charlie cap and busy taking it. In fact, I think he's probably going to end up flipping it, although it looks like his progress has been stalled, most likely because there is an enemy destroyer inside of the cap with him. Speaking of which, there are 2 enemy destroyers, and there are 2 friendly destroyers, of which I am one. This game should demonstrate to you pretty conclusively that destroyers remain possibly the most influential class of ships in this game due to their stealth and their ability to take the objectives. And that's what we're headed over to Bravo to do. We're going to enter the Bravo cap and attempt to take it. And if you look on the minimap right now, you'll notice that one of the enemy destroyers was indeed spotted in Charlie. In fact, he's being spotted again. So he is trying to stall the progress of my teammate there, but my teammate is going to come out on top, and that battle is going to be decided by destroyer versus destroyer. Now, he is getting some assistance in the form of the friendly aircraft carrier who is spotting that destroyer. He's got his dive bombers hovering over him, but the aircraft carrier is only one piece on the board. It's only one ship, and even though it can exert an enormous amount of influence over the match by, for example, spotting destroyers, it can only be in one place on the map at one time. And so what we're going to see here is a game decided by destroyers. Now, that particular destroyer did enter the cap, and he is being driven away right now. The other destroyer, I believe, is going to go nowhere near a cap, and this is going to cost his team dearly. Now the Charlie cap has been flipped in our favor, and I have just flipped, or I'm just about to flip, the Bravo cap in our favor, which is going to mean we hold 3 out of 3 of the caps, and this is going to give us a massive advantage. You can already see that we are ahead on points. We have lost a friendly cruiser, but the enemy team has lost a destroyer. It was the Geta that was in Charlie, and that was due in part to the friendly aircraft carriers continuing to spot that Geta, although it was a friendly shores that ended up taking out the Geta. Now you can see I am spotted by the enemy aircraft carrier, but I am in a position where nobody can really take advantage of this spotting, and I'm not sure if the carrier is trying to keep me spotted. He's certainly hovering his planes above me, although he's lost sight of me there. The enemy Fubuki, who just went behind that corner, did take a parting shot at me as he went around the island there. He was, it looked like, trying to take the Bravo cap, but as soon as he saw my T-61 over in the area, he decided he would retreat. Now, it looks like the enemy aircraft carrier is parked behind this island right here. And since all of the caps are in blue hands, I feel like it's not a bad idea to go after this carrier and also after this Fubuki, although the Fubuki is my primary goal. The Fubuki has been spotted. I'm not sure exactly what is spotting him. It might be me. Perhaps he just has pretty terrible concealment. He's certainly a naked Fubuki. Doesn't look like he has any camo on him. And now the enemy carrier is beginning to focus me. Destroyers, the biggest threat that carriers pose to them is the fact that carriers can keep them spotted. It can be difficult to hit destroyers, especially with dive bombs, although it does look like the enemy aircraft carrier succeeds there. But he is not really stopping me from gunning down this Fubuki. Only my somewhat questionable aim at times is stopping me from doing that. The Fubuki smokes up. I see torpedoes incoming. Whether they're from the carrier, I'm not sure. Don't think they are, because there were 3 torpedoes there, and I'm pretty sure the Ranger is only capable of dropping 2 at a time. But the Fubuki is inside of the smoke screen, friendly torpedoes are coming his way, and I see some torpedoes from the carrier coming my way, so I turn into them, and I manage to hit one before it actually arms and is capable of doing damage to me. Now, at this point, because of the distraction from the enemy planes here, I had not realized that the Fubuki was actually killed by the friendly torpedo strike that went into his smoke screen. He's actually dead. You can see the icon of both destroyers on the top of the enemy team are both blacked out. But I have not realized that yet, and I am continuing to go for his smoke screen, all the while being spotted by the enemy aircraft carrier. Now, that Mutsu over there probably should have taken the opportunity to shoot at me. The Dallas certainly tried, but he was way too far away at that point. And, I mean, what can be said? Now, if the enemy team had chosen to focus me when I was spotted there, I did still have some recourse. I have a smoke screen that I could deploy, and even planes can't see through that. Deploying the smoke screen, it's going to last for roughly a minute. The carrier can try to keep his planes over my smoke screen for the entire duration of, its time limit, but if he does that, then he's not going to be able to go to other parts of the map and affect the battle there. And by the way, this battle is close in terms of ship count. In fact, it looks like both teams are even on ships. The difference is that the Fubuki didn't exactly do what was best for his team. You could argue the Geta did, but both of them are dead. And this game is going to be decided by me and the friendly T-61. We see the Mutsu in front of us. He knew that there was a destroyer behind him. The planes had me spotted for a very, very long time, but he's got his guns turned away. Bit of advice for you. As I said, the aircraft carrier's main power comes from the fact that it is capable, more capable than pretty much any other ship class, of spotting destroyers. So, if you are on a team with your aircraft carrier and you notice that his planes have spotted a destroyer in your vicinity, it should become your immediate priority to shoot at that destroyer. I have lost barely any hit points, and I don't remember if the hit points that I did lose came from being dropped by the carrier's dive bombs the one time he hit me, or from the shots that the Fubuki took at me earlier. In any case, the Mutsu is very much aware that I'm in the area now that I have shot at him and lit him on fire permanently, also sending torpedoes his way. As the ship count continues to dwindle, it's now 4 versus 4, but the torpedoes might change that if they manage to hit the Mutsu, who I believe is going to sail straight into them. Let's see if that is the case. They are approaching now, and any second, there we go, we get 2 hits, maybe more. No, it's just 2, but the flood that those 2 torpedoes cause is permanent, so we have 2 perma-fires and 2 perma-floods stacked on top of this Mutsu. He is in big trouble. Map awareness, good thing to have. Definitely keep a lookout on the map. That Mutsu could have known I was here. He should have known I was here because of his friendly aircraft carrier spotting. But now, he is dead. The kill does not go to me, but to my teammate T-61 there. And all that's left is the enemy aircraft carrier, a lone battleship, and a lone cruiser. I believe the cruiser is the Dallas, who did try to take advantage of his carrier spotting me earlier. I'm leaving the friendly T-61 to take the Bravo cap, and I am going to head toward this Ranger now, because, frankly, at this point, the game has been won for quite a while now. We managed to rack up a gigantic points lead by virtue of holding all the caps, so it's sort of been my goal for the past 5 minutes, honestly, to go after this Ranger, mostly because, you know, he's an aircraft carrier, I'm a destroyer, I'd love to be able to take him out, but the enemy Helena is standing in our way. I guess I was wrong, the cruiser is a Helena and not a Dallas. The Dallas must have gone down some time ago. Since the Helena is still behind the island, I take an opportunity to try to shoot at him, although I do get spotted when I do it. We can see planes over there, 7 kilometers in the distance, and the Helena coming out from behind the island. I am spotted still, so I'm going to deploy the smoke screen since I have it, and go unspotted. At this point, neither the Helena or the enemy aircraft can see me, so I'm content to just shoot my guns here at this cruiser. But here is my destroyer teammate coming in clutch with some nice torpedoes. They take down the Helena, and that just leaves the Ranger and a battleship who is hopelessly out of position. Looks like he is actually spending all of his time chasing the friendly carrier on the far side of the map, up there into the top left-hand corner of the minimap. Don't know how long he has been at that game, but definitely not a productive use of his time. If you're in a situation where you're behind on points and you need to take cap circles or sink ships and all that, going after the enemy aircraft carrier is usually not a good idea. You certainly don't want to take your destroyer, for example, and go after the aircraft carrier at the start of the match, avoid all the caps and all the other objectives, and do that. I do see a lot of destroyers doing that. That's not a productive use of your time. Play the game like you normally would, and a lot of the time you're going to be rewarded for doing so. Frankly, from what I can tell, the player base, as far as it comes to performing well in aircraft carriers, still hasn't quite got it down yet. I haven't run into too many aircraft carriers at this tier, tier 5 or tier 7, where I'm like, wow, this guy really is giving me a hard time in a destroyer or anything else. Honestly, the hardest time I've had lately is in battleships versus these German destroyers, which are capable of essentially citadeling you at will if they know how to do it. But here's the Ranger behind the island. It's not going to save him. He's broadside to us. We switch to the armor piercing. We got a couple nice citadels off of him, but he's ultimately taken down by actually the friendly Ryujo. And there is the final battleship, a Tennessee who could not be accused of being a particularly fast battleship, way, way out there. And he's really not going to be able to do anything before the clock winds down and the game ends with our victory. And on the top of the leaderboard, you're going to see me with over 2,000 base XP, and also the other friendly T-61, also with over 2,000 base XP. The two of us together thoroughly dominated this game in spite of the presence of the enemy aircraft carrier, who, again, is going to finish second on the leaderboard for his team. Now, you can argue that he probably didn't play as well as he could have. He certainly didn't make as much of an effort as maybe he should have to spot me or my teammate, although maybe he did try to spot my teammate. It's hard to look at all of that at one time. But the point here is, if you're in a destroyer and you see an aircraft carrier on the enemy team, don't throw your hands up in dismay. Don't be like, oh no, the game is ruined. I can't do anything in a destroyer. You absolutely can. Just try it. That's the message here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.